In this video, we're going to take a look at Geometry 1, and we're going to deal with perimeter. Well, first we should define perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around an object. So we just have to take a total measure of the distance around any object. And that can be a circle, a square, a rectangle, any shape at all. We're going to concentrate on three main shapes: triangle, circle, and a rectangle, or a square. So we're going to take a look at these three shapes, and what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the distance around the outside. Now for that, what we're going to do is we're going to actually do some measuring. And I've got three objects here: a triangle, a circle, and in this case a square, but a rectangle would be the same type of figure. And I'm going to get my ruler here, and what we're going to do, you see here I have a metric ruler, and so what we're going to do here is actually go ahead and measure the sides of this triangle. Now, I've tried to make my lines pretty thin, and this will sort of be rough, but if we read this ruler, you can see we're in centimeters, and we're at 1, 2, 3, well, 3.5. 3.5 is a really good guesstimate right here for the length of this side. So we'll mark that on as 3.5 centimeters. And now we'll measure I just have to get a new ruler here. Now we'll measure the other side. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to have to sort of angle my ruler so that it matches this side, and that's not too bad. And you see here we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 centimeters, about 4.9 centimeters. And finally the last side, we'll just get our ruler vertical here. And you can see now I'm matching up my marking with the edge of the ruler. It is a little trickier here sometimes. And you see here we have 3.5 centimeters. So if we get rid of our ruler there, so if we're calculating the perimeter of this object, then we just need to simply add up the distance around. So the perimeter, which we give capital letter P, will be equal to 3.5 plus 4.9 plus 3.5. And so we can add those 3.5, 3.5, and 4.9. And now 5 and 5 is 10, 19. We'll carry the 1, 4, 7, 10, 11. So the perimeter of this object is about 11.9 centimeters. And we are measuring, so there's going to be perhaps a little bit of error there, as there is with any measurement. And let's move on to the square. So we're going to measure the sides here of this square the good thing about a square is I only have to measure one side, because one of the properties of a square is that all the sides are the same. And so if I measure this, I can see that the length of my square is, yeah, it's pretty close to 3. I'm going to say that it's 3 centimeters. Now, if this were a rectangle, and all of the sides weren't the same, then we would have to measure this side and then measure this side as well. Now, one of the properties of rectangles is that the opposite sides here are equal, and so we would only have to measure this distance, and that would be the same as that distance. As this distance here, I'm now marking in red, would be the same as this distance. Now, it turns out with a square that all of our distances are the same. So the perimeter for the square is going to be 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Because if one side is 3 centimeters, then all of the sides are 3 centimeters, provided that it's a square. And so we get here that the perimeter is equal to 12 centimeters. Now notice that those two are pretty similar. When we look at the circle is a little bit different. And there's a formula that you need to use to find the perimeter of a circle. And the perimeter of a circle is also called the circumference. So the circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. And so, let's get rid of my ruler here. The circumference is the distance all the way around the outside of a circle. So if we were to cut this circle, make a cut, let's say here, and stretch out the circle, let's say it's a circle of thread or a circle of rope, if we were to stretch it out into a line, that's how long the line would be. Now, the perimeter of a circle is called the circumference, and that's given the letter C. C stands for circumference. And circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. Now, pi is a constant number, and for approximation purposes, we can say that pi is equal to 3.14. Some of you might even have calculators that have a button that has this pi symbol on it. It's a Greek letter just representing a constant. That's all I'll say about pi for now. You just need to know that it's equal to 3.14. Now, we do have to define this diameter. The diameter of a circle, if we see the center of the circle is here, the diameter of the circle is the distance through the center from end to end. So the diameter of this circle would be the length of this red line that I've just drawn. This would be the length of the diameter. And so if we take our ruler, which I've lost here, if we take our ruler and we go through the center at any point, if we go through the center right about there, we should be able to get the diameter. So it doesn't matter where you go through the center, as long as you go from circle edge to circle edge, and you go through the center. Now, I've made my center pretty big here, so this is going to be an approximation for sure. But we can see here that the measure is about 3.2 centimeters. Right here, that is about 3.2 centimeters. And so now, if we know that the diameter is 3.2, and we know that pi is 3.14, and we might as well practice some decimal multiplication here. We have 314 and 32. So we'll multiply now the 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. We put our placeholder in. 3 times 4 now is 12, so we write the 2 and carry the 1. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And 3 times 3 is 9. And we add down now, and we get 8, 4, 10. So we write the 0, carry the 1, and 9 plus 1 is 10. And remember that we had 2 decimals here and 1 decimal here, so we had 3 decimals in our question. And so we need 1, 2, 3 decimals in our answer. And so the circumference then is equal to 10.048 centimeters. And notice that we've measured in centimeters, so all of our perimeters are also measured in centimeters. So remember that the perimeter of an object is the distance around. It's the distance around the outside of any object, and it doesn't matter what the shape of that object is. We could look at a shape like this, and this is a pentagon, but if we measured the distance of each one of these lines and added them all together, then that would be the perimeter. So the perimeter is the distance around an object, and we can use any units we want to measure the perimeter. And in this case, we've used centimeters and added some measurement skill as well. So that's a little refresher on the perimeter of objects.